is Shanti Shesat from Information Technology Department. In this session, we continue the chapter number 5, that is Activity and Multimedia with Databases. The topic is Android System Architecture. Android operating system is a stack of software components which is roughly divided into the 5 sections, but mainly there are the 4 layers which are shown in the given diagram. That is Linux kernel, after that native libraries, then Android runtime environment, then application framework and applications. Linux kernel as the bottom of layering is Linux 3.6, having almost 116 patches. This provides the level of abstraction between the device hardware, and it contains all the essential hardware drivers like camera, keypad, display, etc. Also, the kernel handles all the things that Linux is really good at, such as networking and the vast array of device drivers, which take the pain out of interfacing to peripheral hardware. After that, on the top of Linux kernel, there is a set of libraries which including open source web browsers, then web browser engine, then WebKit, well-known library, then library that is lib, that is library C, SQLite database, which is the useful repository for storage and sharing of application data. After that, then some libraries to play and record audio and video, that is for multimedia purpose. Then SSL libraries which are responsible for network security or internet security, etc. Android libraries. There are some Android libraries, that is Android.app related to app, then Android.content, that is for content provider, then Android.database which supports the SQLite database to manage the database classes, then Android OpenGL, that is for 3D or 2D graphics for application programming interface, then Android.os for operating system regarding standard operating system services. After that, Android.text to manipulate the text on a device display, then View, that is user related to Android user interface, then Android.widget, that is the number of collections of widgets are available like button, radio, text box, list view, labels, etc. Then Android.webkit, a set of classes which are intended to allow the web browsing capability to be built into the application. All these are the different Android libraries. Next is the Android runtime. This is the third section of the architecture and available on the second layer from the bottom. This section provides the key component called DVM, Dalvik Virtual Machine, which is similar to the Java Virtual Machine, okay, but which is specially designed for the Android application development process. DVM makes the use of Linux core feature like memory management and multi-threading, okay, which is similar to the Java Virtual Machine, that is JVM. DVM, that is Dalvik Virtual Machine, enables the every Android application to run in its own process with its own instance of the DVM. The Android runtime also provides the set of core libraries which enables the Android application developer to write Android applications using standard Java programming language. Next is the application framework that provides the many higher level services to the application in the form of Java classes. Application developers are allowed to make the use of these services in their application. One is the activity manager that controls all the aspects of the application life cycle and activity stack. After this, content provider allows the application to publish and share the data with other application. Then resource manager, which provides access to the non-code embedded resources such as strings, then color, then some settings and user interface layouts. The notification manager allows the application to display alerts and notification to the customer or user. Then view the system, an extensible set of views used to create application user interface. Next is the application layer. You will find all the Android application at the top layer. You will write your application to be installed on this layer only. For example, contacts book, browser, games, etc. Next is the application framework. This is the application framework. Okay, application framework level is a application code that utilize the Android media or APIs to interact with the multimedia hardware. Binder IPC, that is interprocess communication. Proxies the facilitate the communication over the process boundaries. They are located in the framework AV media. Inside media there is a library media directory and begin with the letter L. Native multimedia framework, which provides the multimedia framework, this utilizes the Stagefright engine for audio and video recording and playback. This Stagefright comes with the default list of supported software codes, and it implements your own hardware codec by using OpenMax integration layer standard. OpenMax integration layer, that is IL, provides the standard way for Stagefright to recognize and use the custom hardware which is based on multimedia codecs called component. You must provide an OpenMax plugin in the form of shared library which named library Stagefright W. So this plugin likes Stagefright with your custom codec components which must be implemented according to the OpenMax IL, that is integration layer component standard. Next point is media framework top view. Application and media server run on a separate processes. Media server is started at the boot time. Okay, media server like codecs, file parsers, network stack, etc. SF, that is surface flinger and audio flinger hardware abstraction for the audio and video. Then flinger, this is the software implementation that combines either the visual interface or the audio output and multiple application into the common stream that is sent to hardware. Media function call, that is Dalvik virtual machine. Proxy, the Java object we are talking to. Example for media layer, it is the media player Java object. It is a proxy for native proxy, which is in turn is the proxy for the actual native implementation. JNI, that is Java Native Interface, a programming framework that enables the Java code running in JVM to interact with native application and libraries written in other languages such as C and C++ and assembly. Which example is, to create a media player object in Java, we make a call through the JNI, that is Java Native Interface, to the instantiate a C++ object. The media player Java object which contains reference to the C++ object. Okay, that is big reference to the garbage collection, etc. Native proxy. Proxy object for the media services. Native proxy is a C++ object and that talks through the binder interface. We could have directly gone to the media server through the JNI layer instead of the proxy. So that why we need the native proxy? This enables to provide the media service access to the native application like game. Native application cannot communicate through the JNI. Next is a Blender. It is an abstraction for interprocess communication. It marshals object across the processes boundaries through the special kernel driver. Processes can share memory that enables moving data back between applications and media player, move the file descriptors and dump across the process, etc. Used extensively in surface flinger and audio flinger. Next is the binder proxy, the marshalling code in the application side. Binder native, the marshalling code in the server side native implementation, the actual implementation, the media player service instantiates the media player object in the service which is proxied in the application by the media player Java object. High overhead involved in a making call through this step. This is acceptable since we do not make a lot of calls to the media player service. Media player objects must be reused as much as possible. Android Media Player example. We can play and control the audio files in Android by the help of Media Player class. Media Player class, that is android.media.media player. This is a class used to control audio or video file. These are the some methods of Media Player class, like void start, void stop, then pause is playing, then seek to, set looping, then is looping, prepare, set data source, okay, then get duration, get current position, etc. All these are the methods of Media Player class. Android Video Player example. By the help of Media Controller and Video View classes, we can play the video files in Android. Media Control class. The Android.widget.media-control is a view that contains media control like play, pause, previous, next, fast forward, rewind, etc. Video View class, that is Android.widget.video-view class, which provides the method to play and control the video player. These are the some common used method to view of the video view class, like set media controller, then set video URI, then start, stop, playback, pause, suspend, resume, and seek to. Next point is the Android text to speech tutorial. In Android, you can convert your text into the speech by the help of text to speech class. After completion of the conversion, you can play back or create the sound file. Constructor of the text to speech class is a text to speech, context, and text to speech dot on init listener. Method of the text to speech class is there are some methods like integer speak, then set speech rate, then set pitch, set language, then shut down and stop. All these are the methods of text to speech conversion class. Okay. Next point is a sensor. Most Android powered services have built-in sensor that measures the motion, orientation, and various environmental conditions. These sensors are capable of providing raw data with high precision and accuracy, and very useful if you want to monitor three-dimensional device movement or positioning, or you want to monitor the changes in the ambient environment near a device. For example, game might track reading from a device's gravity sensor to infer complex user gesture and motion such as tilt, shake, rotation or swing. Likewise, the weather application might use a device temperature sensor and humidity sensor to calculate and report the dew point. Or travel application might use the geometric field sensor and accelerometer to report a compass bearing. The Android platform support, there are three broad categories of sensor, that is motion sensor, environmental sensors and position sensor. The motion sensors measures the acceleration forces and rotational forces along the three axes. This category includes the accelerometer, gravity sensor, okay, and some other sensor like rotational vectors, etc. Environmental sensors, the sensors measures the various environmental parameters such as ambient air temperature and pressure, illumination and humidity. This category includes the barometer, photometer and thermometers, etc. Position sensors, the sensors measures the physical position of the device. This category includes the orientation sensors and magnetometers. Sensor framework. You can access these sensors and acquires the raw sensor data by using the Android sensor framework, which include the sensor manager, then sensor event and sensors event listener. Sensor manager, you can use the class to create the instance of sensor service. This class provides the various method for accessing and listening the sensors, registering and understanding the sensor event listeners and acquiring the orientation information. Sensor, you can use this class to create the instance of a specific sensor. This class provides the various methods that let you determine the sensor's capabilities. Then sensor event, which provides the information about sensor's particular event. And sensor's event listener, you can use this interface to create two callback method that receives the notification, that is sensor's event, when sensor's value changes or when sensor's accuracy changes. Next is the asynchronous task. It is an abstract class, provides the Android which helps us to use the user interface thread properly. This class allows us to perform long or background operation and shows its result on the user interface thread without having to manipulate the thread. When to use the asynchronous task? Android implements the single thread model, and whenever an Android application is launched, a thread is created. Assuming we are doing network operation on button click in our application, on button click a request will be made to the server and response will be waited. Due to the single thread model of Android, till the time response is waited, our screen is non-responsive. So we should avoid performing long running operation on the user interface thread, which this includes the files and network access. To overcome this, we can create a new thread and implement run method to perform this network call. So user interface remains responsive. But since Android follows the single thread model and Android user interface toolkit is not a thread set. So if the thread user need to make some changes to the user interface based on the result of the operation performed, then this approach may lead some more issues. Methods. Method of async task, that is on pre-execute, then do in background having some parameter, then on progress update and on post execute. Generic types in async task, that is type of var argument parameters. It contains the information about what type of parameters used for the execution. Then progress value, which contains the information about progress units. While doing the background operation, we can update the information and user interface using on progress updates, means 80% downloading is completed, 10% is completed, like this. Okay, then result value, it contains the information about result type. Okay, advantages of async task, that is provide the generic solution for all network calls. Then publish the progress to user interface while executing. Then run asynchronously, easy to maintain and read. The problem related to async task, when you rotate your screen, activity gets destroyed. So async task will not have a valid reference to publish the data from on post execute. In order to retain it, you need to use we need to use set retain state, that is true if calling from fragment, or on config changes if calling from activity method of the activity. If activity get finished, async task execution will not cancel automatically. You need to cancel them, else they will keep on running in the background continuously. If any exception occurs while performing network tasks, you need to handle them manually. Okay, thank you guys. Remaining part we will discuss in next session.